Let's talk about grout, the underrated second fiddle to its sexy counterpart, tile. Never gets the glory or praise, but when done right, brings everything together like a perfect melody. In the next few minutes, I'll share with you the three major categories of grout, when and where it's used, and finally, which one makes the most sense for you and your project. So, stick around as we've got a lot to cover. Hey everybody, I'm Ken On, Quality Assurance Manager for Creative Materials. Welcome to my Tile Talk video series, a visual extension of my Tile Talk blog. In each episode, I'll discuss the most common questions and topics that come up as I travel across the country. Whether you are an architect, designer, contractor, or a tile professional, I hope that you can find value in the things that we discuss here on this channel, which will ultimately allow for you to make better and smarter decisions for your project. So with that being said, let's get started. Grout has come a long way from your basic mix of cement and sand. Nowadays, there are seemingly so many different options on the market, the whole process can be a bit challenging and confusing. Well, I'm here to help. Selecting the right grout is basically no different from the way in which your tiles are selected. First, you'll have to figure out what your project needs are. Factors such as overall performance, like strength and longevity, ease of cleaning, maintenance, and last but not least, cost. Now, to truly understand if a particular grout will meet the project needs, we need a foundational understanding of the various types that are out there. Even with all the advancements in technology, at the end of the day, there are still just three basic categories of grout: cementitious, epoxy, and pre-mixed single component. Let's go over each one. First and most commonly used type of grout is cementitious grout. Mostly made up of Portland cement, some filler particles of varying sizes, and colored pigments. That's pretty much it. This kind of grout has been used forever, and for the most part, hasn't changed all that much. Many varieties require only the use of clean, warm water, or for improved performance, a liquid polymer additive in lieu of water. Sanded grouts are commonly used for joints 1/8 inch or wider. This is because the larger sanded aggregates within the grout can provide better structural integrity. On the flip side, unsanded grouts are used for joints less than 1/8 of an inch. The smaller unsanded aggregates are better able to fit into the narrow joints. Generally speaking, cementitious grouts are still very popular due to its ease of use and low price point. However, cementitious grouts can be susceptible to fading and overall color inconsistencies. And due to its simple makeup, these types of grouts do not perform well in demanding spaces like wet areas and high traffic environments. So, where and when should cementitious grouts be considered for your project? Frankly, they are best suited for simple, non-commercial projects where the floor and wall tiles will have limited foot traffic and minimal exposure to moisture and water. So areas such as living rooms, bedrooms, hallways, walkways, and even powder rooms. But really the focus is limited foot traffic and minimal exposure to moisture and water. Within this same category of grouts, a new player has emerged in recent years and now dominates the cementitious grout category: Advanced Performance Modified Grouts, otherwise known as APMGs. These are still considered cementitious grouts, but APMGs have been specially formulated with calcium aluminates and dry polymer additives. These ingredients do a much better job of repelling water, dirt, and grime when compared to standard cementitious grouts. In addition, APMGs shrink very little after the curing period, have increased stain resistance, and overall improvement in color consistency, mainly due to its efflorescence-free makeup. No efflorescence means much more consistency in the overall color and aesthetics. So, where and when should advanced performance modified grouts be considered? Ideal areas would be high-traffic residential and basic commercial projects with much more demanding spaces, with moderate exposure to water and moisture. So with the overall improvement in quality and increased performance, this means that there are a lot more areas within your project where advanced performance modified grouts can be specified. The second type of grout, epoxy grout. Epoxy grout does not contain Portland cement, and in fact are a completely different type of form. Unlike cementitious grouts, no water or latex additives are used in the mixing process. These grouts consist of epoxy resin, silica fillers, pigments, and a hardener. This combination reduces shrinkage and sag while providing phenomenal bond strength and chemical resistance. Now, factor in their near impenetrable body, and no other grout can offer the performance capabilities that come standard in an epoxy. These types of grout absorb 50 times less water than traditional grouts and is thus protected from mold and mildew, and best of all, it's stain-proof. A generation ago, epoxy grouts were used primarily for industrial projects. However, with tremendous improvements in use and application, epoxy grouts have become very popular in the industry and are commonly found in a wide variety of areas. So where and when should epoxy grouts be considered? Ideal areas would be commercial projects with very demanding spaces, with high exposure to water, moisture, and chemicals. So places like commercial kitchens, steam rooms, saunas, locker rooms, those places make a whole lot of sense. But epoxy grouts are also really popular for backsplashes, busy walkways and lobbies, stairs, and even countertops. Grout number 3, pre-mixed single component grouts. The newest player in the game has quickly become the go-to grout in the commercial world. Pre-mixed single component grouts are professional grade, ready-to-use specialty grouts that are ideal for commercial projects. These specialty grouts are typically made of polymer resins or urethane that require no additional water or additives. Just open, mix, and install. Tile professionals love the easy installation, not as difficult as an epoxy, and the lower cost point. Again, less than epoxy. In addition, it shares many of the benefits of epoxy grout as it provides phenomenal stain resistance, does not effloresce, and offers high chemical resistance. However, some acidic chemicals and other harsh agents can degrade the grout after time, and submerging these grouts in pools, fountains, steam rooms, and saunas are not recommended. So, where and when should single component grouts be considered? Ideal areas would be commercial projects with moderate to very demanding spaces, with moderate exposure to water, moisture, and chemicals. In short, pre-mixed single component grouts perform much better across the board when compared to traditional cementitious grouts or even the newly improved advanced performance modified grouts. However, when compared to its big brother epoxy, it still falls short in terms of overall performance, mainly due to the fact that pre-mixed single component grouts cannot be submerged in water, nor can it withstand the harshest of chemicals. I know I talked about a whole lot today, so before I take off, I want to give you a quick breakdown and summary of everything we talked about. As a reminder, there are still just 3 basic categories of grout. We'll start with number 1, cementitious. These are best suited for simple, residential projects where the floors and walls will have limited foot traffic and minimal exposure to water or moisture. Now, within this same category of grout, advanced performance modified grouts are still considered cementitious, but these are an upgrade. Ideal areas would be high traffic residential and basic commercial projects that have more demanding spaces with moderate exposure to water and moisture. The premium grout number 2 is epoxy grout. Ideal areas are commercial projects with very demanding spaces with high exposure to water, moisture, and chemicals. And grout number 3 is pre-mixed single component grouts. Ideal areas are commercial projects with moderate to very demanding spaces with moderate exposure to water, moisture, and chemicals. Well, there you have it. As you can see, understanding which type of grout to use is super critical, as all project needs are different. For more grout information, please click on the link in the description below and get full access to my grout pros and cons cheat sheet. You can download the PDF and use it as a quick reference whenever you'd like. Well, that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Ken On, Creative Materials Quality Assurance Manager. See you next time.